Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ganda speaking. I'm Technical Support Engineer from SuperMap Software Co. Ltd, the Asia and Oceania Department. And today we will be presenting about SuperMap Geospatial AI innovations in spatial science for image analysis. That will be divided into two different parts. The first one will be brought by me, Gandis, as Technical Support Engineer, and will present about the introduction. And in the second session, my colleague Fela Ahala Hulaifa will present more details about the hands-on about the AI demonstration by using one of our products, which is the SuperMap iDesktop X. And today, SuperMap mini classroom webinar is in collaboration with the University of Sri Jayawardenepura, Sri Lanka. It's been an honor for us to be in this collaboration, and we are looking forward for further collaboration in the future. And should you have any questions related to the presentation, feel free to ask us. You can put your questions in the Q&A chat box, and our team or me or Fela will answer your question in Q&A chat box. Okay, now without any further ado, I will start to present the first session, which is about the introduction. So this is the title of the presentation, the SuperMap Geo AI Innovations in Spatial Science for Image Analysis. So I will just introduce you about the theory, but more details about the hands-on will be presented by Fela in the second sessions. Okay, now start with this diagram. So SuperMap Artificial Intelligence GIS or AI GIS is a collective name for the integration of artificial intelligence technology and SuperMap GIS technology. And the system includes four major parts. The first one is data, and the second one is domain library, and then we have framework, and the last one is function. So now let's discuss one by one from the first one, which is the data. So data is the basis of the entire technical framework, and users can choose different storage solutions based on the different data characteristics. And the domain library is a unique concept of AI GIS application. It uniformly manages the sample and models involved in the use of AI GIS. And then for the framework is a guarantee for the realization of AI GIS capabilities. On the one hand, the framework itself implements some classic algorithms, and on the other hand, the framework can be quickly extended to derive new algorithms. Function is the realization of AI GIS capabilities, including three core contents. The first one is GeoAI, and the second one is AI for GIS, and last one is GIS for AI. So actually, you can read here more details about what is GeoAI, AI for GIS, and GIS for AI, but I will explain more details in the next slide. So in the SuperMap, we have three different concepts to the AI GIS theory. The first one we have GeoAI, second one we have GIS for AI, and last one we have AI for GIS. Now let's talk about the first one, which is the AI for GIS. Sorry, GeoAI. So GeoAI is the spatial analysis and processing of integrated AI, and SuperMap provides a unified GeoAI process which connects all processing links in series. So we have toolbox that allow you to do the training data creation, and then the data model creation, and last one is the model inference. All of them in a ready-to-use toolbox, so you don't need to do any code. Just input some parameters on the toolbox and also do the execution to obtain the result. And then the second one, we have the GIS for AI. So GIS for AI is based on GIS technology to further process and analyze AI analysis, including the results and also visualize the space. So here it looks like GIS help AI for the spatial analysis and also visualization. And the last one, we have the AI for GIS. AI for GIS is based on AI technology to enhance and optimize GIS software functions. So mainly is to provide data for the GIS to be analyzed. For example, to do the data collecting survey by using AI, AR integration, or to enhance the mapping process by using AI cartography. And but for today, we will be more focused to discuss about the middle one, which is the Geo AI. So in SuperMap Geo AI, we have three capabilities. The first one is the spatial statistics. The second one is spatial machine learning, and the last one is spatial deep learning. So each of them has different function. The first one in the spatial statistic is a series of methods for analyzing spatial data using statistical theory. Different from the independent identical distribution assumptions in classical statistical research, spatial data has spatial features such as spatial autocorrelation, spatial stratified heterogeneity, and modifiable areal unit problems. And here we are kind of integrate the statistical theory with GIS so that you will not only obtain the number of the statistical process, but also the map from your statistical calculation. And in the middle one, we have the spatial machine learning. It's mainly including the clustering, classification, and regression for the spatial data. And last one, we have the spatial deep learning. So SuperMap GIS provides algorithms for image data detection, classification, extraction based on the deep learning, including object detection, binary classification, land use or cover classification, and scene classification as well. And for today, we will not discuss all of them, only the spatial deep learning parts, because in the second session, Fela will show you about how to achieve the image analysis by using SuperMap product. So now, let's take a look at the basic concepts of geospatial deep learning in SuperMap product. So SuperMap itself takes advantage of deep learning mainly for image processing. In a very simple way to explain, the deep learning is quite similar with the supervised and unsupervised classification, but more complex on its algorithm, which make it obtain a better result. And three important processing done in this geospatial deep learning: the multidimensional fusion, correlation analysis, and in-depth mining of complex spatio-temporal. And at present, deep learning algorithm represented by CNN, or the convolutional neural network, in the SuperMap iDesktopX. There are two different analyses can be carried out. The difference was on the data source, 3D and 2D. In the 3D analysis part, actually it was not fully 3D, but we still need to analyze the 2D data earlier before represent the result in 3D. It kind of a semi-3D because, as I said before, we still need the 2D data version of our 3D model. So I will discuss this further in the next slide. And the second one, we have the 2D data analysis or image analysis. We can perform various types of deep learning implementation, for instance, the object detection, binary classification, multi-classification for land use and land cover, and object extraction as well. So this is more details along with the illustration. The first one is for the 3D data, as I said before, for the extracting building footprints from oblique photogrammetry data. The objective is to optimize the singularization process. It will make us easier in conduct spatial query and analysis. So as you may know that the original oblique photographic data is a whole, which is difficult to conduct spatial query and analysis, and it's not easy to manage. The deep learning model is used to automatically extract the building footprint from the oblique photography data to optimize the singularization process. And to do so, we need to have two data, the 3D surface and the orthophoto. The object extraction was carried out for the orthophoto and then clamp the result to the 3D surface as we get the result. And in SuperMap, this embedding process called as a monomer. By creating this monomer, we can perform the data query and attributes attached to the 3D oblique photogrammetry model. So you need to do the object detection to its image data, to the imagery data, then clamp the result to the 3D model. So you will able to obtain this kind of visualization. And in the second one, we have the object detection. Object detection uses deep learning algorithms to automatically determine and recognize the category and location of one or more objects in the remote sensing image, and use the form of a vector polygon as a marker to determine its category and location. The object detection function has the characteristics of high speed and high accuracy and is usually used to quickly determine the spatial information such as the number and position of different types of object in the image. The following figure shows the result of greenhouse detection in a certain area, this one. The yellow polygon is the detected greenhouse, which can quickly and accurately locate the distribution, location, and numbers of a greenhouse, and provide basic data to support for the greenhouse management, farmland management, and other fields. And in the left side, we have the palm trees counting. So as you can see here, based on the 2D imagery data, we do the object detection. Then after we obtain the result in the form of points of the distribution of the palm trees, then we visualize them using 3D symbols, so we can be able to obtain this visualization. So in a nutshell, this is the summary of the object detection in SuperMap. So it will determine and recognize the category and location of one or more object in the remote sensing image, and use the vector polygon as a marker to determine its category and location. And this is a high speed and high accuracy process. So the result will be in the form of distribution of points, or not point, but a kind of a rectangular polygon of your object. And you can be able to do the calculation to get to know the total number of your object in your imagery. And the second one, we have the object extraction. So detection in previous slide is to detect object only so that we could know the number of objects. While in the object extraction, we could extract the object shape as well as illustrates in the picture. So we will not only able to obtain the total number of the object, but also we can get the object shape, because we do the extraction process rather than the detection only. And should you want to know, want to do the classification for two different class of object, you can use the binary classification. So this is different with the object detection. So in the object detection, more on for counting purposes, while binary will extract the object shape as the result. In binary, we only able to extract one variety of feature. In binary classification, we use a U-net structure of deep learning algorithms to classify a certain kind of ground features in remote sensing image. determines whether the image pixel is interest category and generates binary raster data with values of 0 and 1, where 0 is non-interest category and 1 is interest category. So it will give you imagery result as well with only two different digital number. The first one is 0 and the second one is 1. 0 means that that's not our object we are going to detect, and 1 means that pixel is categorized as our object to be detected. And next one, we have the multiple classification. In the multiple classification, we could extract more than one feature class, but sure, it will take more time to execute. And this function uses deep learning algorithm to classify a variety of ground feature elements in remote sensing image and determine the different feature categories of image pixels. Similar with the binary classification, multiple classification use a neural network model to determine which type of interest each pixel is in an image belongs to, and it is used for multi-type feature determination and calculates the location, boundary, and area of interest categories from the pixel. So if you want to do the detection for more than one object, to do the classification for more than one object, you need to choose the multiple classification toolbox instead of the binary classification. And next, we have the object extraction. So actually, it's quite similar with the object detection, but you could be able to obtain the shape as well. And then the scene classification is to classify different remote sensing image in the database according to certain classification features. So the key to scene classification lies in the extraction of image features. The following figure shows the classification results of local climate zone scenes in Beijing. Red is a dense building area on the right map. Orange is an open building area. Green is vegetation, white is a bare land, and blue is water. So all of the analysis I have mentioned earlier is part of the image analysis operators in our product, which is SuperMap iDesktopX. And for today, fellow will demonstrate one or maybe 1, 2, or 3 analysis from the image analysis I have explained earlier. And this is the software to be used. We will be using SuperMap iDesktopX, the latest version 10.1.1, but in the very short time, we will release the 10.2 version, but it has been, it has not released yet in our website. So we encourage you to use the 10.1.1 version. You can download the product in our website, and it will be 90 days trial in the beginning, automatically 90 days trial version in the beginning. But should you already install our product 90 days ago, you probably will encounter an expired license. So you can reach us or Nicole to obtain the extended trial license. Okay, and then the second one, we need the SuperMap iObject Python machine learning resource. So SuperMap iDesktopX actually is our desktop product, and it supports Python environments, but you still need to install and configure the iObject Python machine learning resource before achieving the AI analysis in our product. And the third one, you need to configure the Miniconda 3 GPU as well. And also, this is the hardware requirements. We have 2 different SIM. The first one is common and the second one is recommendation. So actually, to achieve the geospatial AI analysis using SuperMap is require you to have a high specification of device because of it will need you to do a hard rendering process. So that's why we need you to have at least 12 gigabyte, 32 gigabyte of RAM, and also VRAM 12. And you can read more details about the specification in this slide. So if your requirement of your device is below of the list I have shared in this slide, you will probably encounter an error during the processing. Okay, before we move to the processing part, you need to do the configuration in the beginning. So after you already download the SuperMap iDesktop X, the Miniconda, and also the iObject Python resource, you need to do the configuration in the beginning. The first one is machine learning resource configuration. So you need to only copy the machine learning resource or the resource underscore ML folder from the iObject Python folder to SuperMap iDesktop X directory file. And the second configuration is setting Python environment. So after you install the Miniconda, then you can open the SuperMap iDesktop X, and there's an option for you to do the Python configuration. You can find it in the ribbon menu about the Python configuration, and you can connect the Conda 3.6.6 version to SuperMap iDesktop X. And some parameters will be filled automatically, and you just need to let it default and click OK. And then in the GeoAI workflow, so as I told you before, that our iDesktop X product is zero code, means that you only need to click on specific toolbox you are going to use and also input some parameters. And there are 3 sequence process that you need to handle in the beginning before achieving the result. The first one is the data acquisition and preparation. Second one is model building and management. And the last one is model publishing and application. Actually, these 3 sequence processes is a common process to achieving the AI analysis. So you need to create the training data and then fill some parameters to create the model based on your training data. And as you obtain the optimal parameter of your model, then you can inference your model to your imagery data, and finally you will obtain the result. And all of this process is zero code, so you just need to click on the toolbox, fill some parameters, go to the next step and fill some parameters again, and also do some iteration if you need, because of in some case you will not be able to success in the beginning, because sometimes it takes time for you to find the best parameter to analyze your data. And now let's take a look how the toolbox look like. So the first one is sample generation. Data acquisition and preparation is the same as the sample generation. So you need to define the data source that contain of your to this imagery data, the data set, and then the sample tag. So if you have imagery content of the palm trees, for example, and you are going to do the object detection to calculate the number of palm trees in your imagery, so you need to create the training data first, but it doesn't require you to do the training data creation for all of the imagery, because as long as your training data already representing your data version, for example, you have two or five kind of palm trees in your imagery, you only need to create training data that contain of that 5 palm trees. But so as long as your training data is already representing your data to be detected, it's enough. So no need to do the training data for all of the imagery, but only some part of it. But it already represented the data category you are going to detect. And also the picture size. So you will do kind of tiling process of your imagery. So the smallest the picture size, the good the result. But it not only like that, so you kind of need to do some trying and error to find the best number of the picture size based on your data. And then in the parameter setting, The first one, you need to define the training data usage. For example, for the object detection and in the class field, it depends on your sample tag data set. So the sample tag is a Polygon data that contain of one field explain what category of the object. For example, you already created the sample tag for the boundaries, and all of the object you are going to detect is only one object, which is boundaries. So you can add a new field in your Polygon data set and with name, for example, category, and fill out of the field for all of the records with the name boundaries, for example. So that's why we need to define which field that representing the class field of your data to be detected. And then define the result data directory. And in the model training, this is a bit tricky because of you kind of feel some parameters that will affect on your result. For example, epoch, page size, learning rate, and others. And I will let you know later more detail about that. And the last one is model inference. Model inference is after you already ensure that your model training is the best one to be inferenced in your data, then you can move to the last part, which is the model inference. So this is more detail about the data acquisition and preparation. So the dataset that needs to be prepared contains image data and label data for the specific locations of the feature you want to identify. For example, to identify buildings, you need the image of the target area and the label of the factor outline of the building, and then generate the training data in the corresponding formats. And the training data is a vector dataset, Polygon, that already stored in SuperMap UDBX. UDBX is SuperMap spatial database format. And then you need to digitize sample data that represent each of the feature type, do the data labeling as simple as only to create a new field. For example, the name of the field is category, and also fill out of the field for each records what type of the object it is. And then the last one is the training data generation. And other thing you need to obey is that imagery must be in TIFF or IMG formats and support RGB channels formats. Your geographical coordinates defined already, and it is 8 bits imagery. And after that, we move to the second process, which is the model building and management. So model construction and management is to train the neural network model based on the training data samples that generated in the previous data preparation process. And at the same time, iteratively evaluate the training model through the validation dataset and test dataset to achieve the actual application accuracy and precision requirements. And according to the length of the model training cycle, SuperMap also provides SuperMap iDesktopX that support short period model training and SuperMap iServer data science training tools that support long period model training. The overall training process use multiple iteration or epoch to obtain network models with better training results. Hyperparameter tuning, including the learning rate and batch size. You can take a look more details in the slide about what is the difference which is within the batch size and also the training rate. And SuperMap encapsulates model files of different AI frameworks into a unified model file, .stm, which is compatible with multiple frameworks, multiple network structures, and multiple functions. And at the same time, shows the complex AI framework concept, making it easier for users to manage, iterate, and update the models. And then we move to the last process, which is the model inference. So inference is the stage in which a trained model is used to infer or predict the testing sample testing samples and compresses of a similar forward pass as training to predict the values. Service release is achieved through the SuperMap iServer machine learning, providing functional coverage including object detection, binary classification, land use classification, and scene classification. So among these three processes, the second part, which is the model building and management part, is the most the longest part, because sometimes it's require user to find the best, or sometimes it always require user to find the optimal parameter of these three. And in the first try, you probably will not be able to find a good one, so you need to do the second 3 times and probably more to find the best one until you can eventually inference your model by using this model inference toolbox. Right, so I already did some comparison for my data. So I have data that that is imagery content of airplanes, and I did the object detection for the airplanes. I did 3 different sims here. The first one is only using 10 epochs, and then the second one is 20, and the last one 20. And based on the result, the higher the epoch, the best the result. And also, I set threshold. The first one is the default, 50%. Second one is 90%, and the third one is 90%. And it showed that the higher the threshold, the best the result. And also the NMS threshold value. When I reduce the value of the NMS, it will give me the best result. So I did 3 different parameter setting for my data and find the best one in the last one by using this parameter. So you probably also need to do that, more than one process of the model hyperparameter tuning to find the best one to your data. And for the successful case, we already did one of our projects is in Indonesia. In Indonesia, we have project in PTPN5 that aiming to calculate the total number of palm trees in their area, and we need to do the calculation for more than 31,000 hectares area, and the data resolution is quite high, 7 centimeter, and we do the processing in more than one stage because the device specification at the time is not that high. Actually, it's already high, but still need us to do this different stage to process the data. And this is the result. So the project was divided into several processing stage. And in the first stage, this is the result. So we worked on 5,000 hectare and completed in 5 days only. And that 5,000 hectare divided into several partition with 16 area each. And we did the model inference process only 5 until 10 minutes for each partition, producing a varied number of trees in the range of 300 up to over 7,000 trees in one 16 hectares. So this is just as an overview for you to get to know about our performance in handling this data analysis using GeoAI. And for more details about the demonstration will be presented by Vela. Hello, Vela.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, you can start your demonstration part.
All right. It's still disabled demonstration. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. This is Val speaking. I'm the technical support engineer from SuperMap Ocean Center. So as Grande said that I will be responsible to do the live demonstrations on AIGIS analysis or image analysis, which already being presented before by Grandes. So for the first one, I'm opening SuperMap IDEX.x version 10i. I guess it's check. This is the 10.1.1. And on this SuperMap IDEX.x, you can download this version on the link that Candice already sent in the PPT on the presentations. And after that, here I'll prepare also the data for today's training. Actually, I will do the demonstrations for three kind of image analysis, which are object detection and also binary classifications and multiple classifications multiple classifications. So this is three data I've prepared. Later also I will share to you the data. So this is the first one, object detections. Inside of this folder, you will get this kind of data, the image data, which is in TIF or T format data. And also you have this sample data, the samples of sample data of this image. In this image, there are several palm trees which need to be detected. As for the trees counting analysis. So how to do the object detections? First, after you open SuperMap IDEX.x, here you can open the data, the image data by directly opening it as a file data source. Right click on the file data source and then click open file data source. And after that, you need to find the data itself. So here is the data under object detection train data. Then you need to find this TIFF file and then you can click open. So after you import the TIFF data, it will be detected as image data sources, which has the symbology like this, IMG, image data source. And inside of these data sources, you will find this data set. And you can double click to see the data set itself. Yeah, so this is the data. The aim of this demonstrations, we want to detect the object of this trees, of these palm trees, with the coordinates inside of the result data sets. So before we do the object detection, we need to prepare the data. So we have one image here, and then after that we need to do a sampling of the object that we want to detect. For example, I want to detect these palm trees. I want to detect these palm trees. It means that I need to do sampling for the palm trees here. So how to do the sampling? Actually, you don't need to digitize, or you don't need to do the sampling for all the trees inside of this image, but you need to make sure that once you make an area of interest, for example, I made this area as the AOI. You need to make sure that inside of this area there's no object left. It means that you cannot do sampling for these trees, but this tree is not, you need to do sampling for all the trees inside of the area that you want to detect. So it's like this. First, you need to make a new data set, which is the polygons, the polygon data set. But before that, in SuperMap iDesktop, every data sets need to be stored inside of the data sources. So first, we need to make a data sources first. Right-click on data sources and click New File Data Source. And here we have the data. We have the folder to store the data. Okay. For example, palm tree sample. I guess I've already prepared one. So make a new name, palm tree sample 2, and click save. And after that, there will be a new data sources inside of your workspace manager here. And after you make a file data sources, then you need to make a new data set, which is the Polygon data set. Right click on the data sources, and then you can click new data sets here. All right. So after you click new data set, you need to make a data set, which is the region. Polygon in SuperMap is a region. And then you put the name here, for example, palm tree sample 2, and you click OK. And after that, you need to make sure that the coordinate system is the same with the image. So you can right click on the data sets and click properties here. And you set the coordinate system. You can copy the coordinate system here. There is a copy button, and copy from the image data sources, which copy from image data sources, and click the data set inside of this image data sources. And then this is the coordinate name, which is the WGS 1984 UTM zone 24 south. So click OK. After that, so currently your data sets already have a coordinate system which is the same with the image WGS 1984 UTM zone 24 south. After that, you can you can draw the samples. You can drag this data set into the map windows, and there is a new layers, which is the palm tree sample. And after that, you can do the drawing or the digitations here. You can enable the editing function. Click on this editing function and make sure that your label is using this tools, right angle rectangle. You cannot, you better not draw polygons, random polygons or the free polygons for your label sampling. You need to choose this right angle rectangle for the sampling data. So you click this right angle rectangle, and you need to draw the labels for each trees inside of your area of interest. For example, I click like this. Okay, you can set the symbols to transparent, and I also want to change the hairline with red colors and the width is 1. Click OK. Then you can draw for another trees. It can be overlapped one each other like this. Just want to show you how we do the sampling. So it's like a normal drawing, but using the right angle rectangle, like this, for example. And you need to make sure, for example, your area of interest is this big box, and you need to make sure that inside of the big box you will draw every single palm trees inside of this object. So you cannot make a sampling like this. For example, you only digitize several parts on this big box, and then you digitize another parts on this another another part on this area like that. You cannot do that. You need to make sure that if you define one area of interest, you need to make sure you draw every single object on that area that will be detected. You don't need to you don't need to draw this label for this area, but only for the palm trees. But you need to draw all of this area of interest. How we define this big box? How we define this big box? Actually, it's random. You just need to make sure that your big box represents the characteristic of your objects. For example, this palm trees has the same size overall. It's a bigger size of palm trees, but maybe there will be some pictures that contain a small palm trees that you need to sample. You need to draw the sample for these small trees because it's different from the first sample you draw. So that's how you define the big box. So if the characteristic is the same, you just need to make sure that the sampling is enough. The sampling is enough. Actually, the more sample you have, the better result you get. But for the first trial, you can just define a small area of interest, and you digitize the sampling, and then you see the result first. If the result is not really good, you can add more samples and redo the model training, something like that. And I actually already prepared the training data, the sampling data here. So I just remove this sampling first, and I will open the new the existing UDBX, which I already prepared before. I click open, and here I have a palm trees object. So this is what I meant by sampling all the object inside of the area of interest. So this is my sample data. And what we do next after we prepare the data. So here, we already prepared the input data for doing the analysis, doing the machine learning analysis. All right. The first one is the image data. The image data showed in T-format data. And then we need to prepare the data set. Actually, if you want to, if you have the existing shapefile data, which already sampling or digitize the object that you want to detect, you can also import the shapefile by right click and then click import datasets, and then you can click add file, and then you find the shapefile data or any other format of data and click open. But you need to make sure that the polygons itself is a right angle rectangle. If you don't, if you're not sure whether it is a free polygon or it's right angle rectangle polygons, you can do this one. There's a function to convert the free polygon to right angle rectangle inside of this toolbox. So you can find the toolbox window here, toolbox window inside of in the right corner of SuperMap iDesktop beside the catalogs, and you can find the overall image analysis in this machine learning toolbox, and you can click imagery analysis, and if you want to convert the free polygon to right angle rectangle, you can choose this calculate object bounds. So for example, here I will make a new data set. which is the region. All right, so, and after that, I will make a sample here name, and I will copy the coordinate system. Okay, and after that, I draw here with a random polygon or with the free polygons. For example, here I draw 4 points. And after that, if you want to convert it to right angle rectangle, you can use this. I can remove, okay, on off this and enable editing function and remove this on the layers. And you can calculate object bounds, and then you choose the source data set where the data set is stored inside of your workspace. So I stored it on palm tree sample, and then the data set is sample. This is the free polygon data sets, and this is the result, the box. And you can click run, and then after that, if you drag the result, it will be a right angle rectangle. So there is 2 ways how to do the sampling for your data. You can directly make it on SuperMap iDesktop by using a right angle rectangle, or you can use your existing shapefile data, and then you convert it to right angle rectangle bound objects. Okay. All right. So after that, after you have prepared your data, I will delete this 2 first. All right. After you deleted data, after you prepare the data, there is a TIFF data here and also the sample. After that, you can start to do the training data process. Okay, here. Wait a minute. Okay, here. Actually, before that, you need to make a configuration first, as I stated before. After you download the resources _ml and also the Miniconda GPU, you need to set it on this Python environment settings. You can click it. All right, so I already set mine as a Python 3.6.6. If you open the settings here, there is an environment path. You can click here. Yeah, after you download, you can make sure that you put this conda on the conda.exe on the conda path, and then the location will be automatically inputted. Yeah, automatically inputted. So you just need to configure one conda path, and then the locations will be automatically configured. And then you click OK, and after that your Python environment setting has been configured. After you configure this Python environment settings, you can start to do the imagery analysis. All right. So here is the process. As Ganda said, the first process after you prepare the data is the training data process. Here, you can double click on the pre-training data process. And after that, there is a configuration parameters that you need to set. The first one is imagery data source. You need to choose which data source consists of your image data. So since it is context sensitive, so it will only detect the data sources that consist of image. So the data sources which not consist of image will not be detected on the drop down. So you can choose this palm tree, farm sample ortho, and the imagery data set is the data set inside of these data sources. And for label, you can choose which data source consists of your vector data set. So it's also context sensitive. So it's only detect it only detects the data sources that consist of the vector data set. If you have more than one data sources which consists of a vector data set, it will be also listed here. But since I only open one data sources which consists of vectors, so it only shows one data sources. And for label data set, you can choose these boundary objects. This is the red colors. The red colors is the labels itself. And for the picture size, actually this picture size, so your original file will be cut into a smaller picture. So how you define these small pictures? You define the size of the picture itself. If you define 1024, so your picture will be cut into this number of pixels. But since also I only prepared a small amount of label data, so I will make the picture size smaller. This is I think I will make it 256, and for the column is 256. And on the parameter settings, you need to make sure before you're doing the you're doing the AIGs in SuperMap IDEX stuff, you need to make sure, you need to know what is the aim of your analysis, because we need one training data cannot be processed for other analysis. So I mean, one training data only can be processed for one kind or one type of analysis. For example, for this data, I only want to make an object detection, right? So this training data only applicable for the object detections, not for the binary classifications, or not for the multiple classifications, or even scene classifications. So it's only applicable for object detection because we set the parameters here. Oh yeah, and the class field, before that, in the class field, after we draw the labels, we need to make sure that we have a category of this label. Actually, the category is the same because object detection only can detect one object for each processing step. So it means the category will be the same for each features record. So this is the category is 3. So how we make this category field? So we open as a attributes here. We open as a attributes, and then we open the properties and click attributes here. And after that, we can add here, add, and choose and set the name as category 2, for example, because I already make a category field. And then you can click apply. Oh, sorry. Steps, category 2. Just make sure that the alias is also changing. Click apply. So here there's the category 2, and how you input the name of the category. You just right click on the field name of the category 2, and then choose update field and click new value as trees or palm. Click apply. It will be applied for all records of your labels. It's like that. And we move again to the part of training data. Actually, I'm also doing the model training now, but it's still running. It's almost like 1 hour to do this model training. So I will wait for this also. Here, here on the training data, again, Okay, this is the training data, and then change again to 265, 256 and 256, and for the usage is object detection, and the class field is category or category 2. It's also okay. For now, I only choose category, and here there's a checkbox, other parameter settings. But for the first time use, you don't need to choose these other parameter settings. And then you can put choose the result data. So where do you want to store the training data result? For example, I put on the same folder as object detections. Okay, and then the name is training data too. Okay, but since I still running the process of models, and I also already do this kind of process to run. This running process takes me around 5 until 10 minutes for doing the training data. So after you click run, I already have the result data sets of the results folder of this training data process. So I will not click the run processing. So you just need to make sure you have understood the process of the changing the parameters and also changing the configuration file. So here is the result of this training data. This is the training data folder resulted from that kind of processing, the create training data process. There will be three folders inside of this one. The first one is annotations. This is on the XML format data, and then the images. So this is the images that you already cut. You already cut based on the picture size, which is the 256 and 256 pixels. So it's like this. This is the result of your training data process. It will cut the image that has a masking from the sample data. So the image that doesn't have a masking above the data, above the image, it will be not cut it. Yeah, only this part, this part will be cut into the smaller piece of pictures. So I think my model is finished. So I guess I can show you the training data process here. Okay, 256, and the category, and I put here, but I change the name as training data too. So after you click run, it will running here in the Python console, and it takes me around maybe not more than 5 minutes, but I guess we don't need to wait for this processing. We can move to this window. All right, so after you make sure that you had a training data folder, you can move to another step, which is the model training. And this model training process takes you longer than the training data and also the model inference. For the model training, for the same data set that we use, this one takes me around 2 hours to make the model data sets. And how we do the model training, here you can click the model training. Click the model training, and here you can configure also the source data set. For the training data path, you choose the training data folder resulted from the previous processing steps. Okay, there's the training data folder, click open, and the training model usage you can choose, but since our training data is for object detection, so you need to choose object detection too. And for the configuration file, actually, as Ms. Ganes also already said before, that we have the configuration file for for the each type of model inference, like binary classification, multiple classification, object detection, and scenes classifications. So you just need to choose which configuration file you need based on the analysis you want to do. So here I'm doing object detection. So I choose this config object detection, click open. Oh yeah, and this my training data has been finished. So here is the training data too. Let's see on the local folder. On the local folder, yeah, this is the training data result, training data 2, and it has the same result as the previous training data because the parameters are also the same. They just want to show you how fast is this to make the training data. So it's not take us around 5 minutes. I think less than 5 minutes. Okay, and then for the model training, after you put the configuration file, you can set the Apple, and also this is the default. I think for the first time use you can make it as default, and you need to also make a log tab or log folder which stores the logs for your processing. So if there is an error, if you encounter an error, we can see the error from the log tab. So here you can choose the folder, and after that the processing will result will make a log folder result after the processing finish. Okay, and then click open, and here we have the load pre-trained models. So if you already have your models, your existing model, for example, we already make a model training for the first time, and then we feel after we do the detections, we feel that this model is not quite good. So we need to. I want to update these models with a new Apple time. I mean, add more or Apple or add more learning rate or something like that. You can load the pre-trained model. You can load the previous models here, and then you choose the previous models. But if it is the first time you do the model training, you don't need to click this box. You need to check the box. All right, and the result data here. Where do you want to put the models? Okay, here, save model 2. But since I mentioned earlier, but this model training take us around 2 hours, and our time is very limited. So I will not use these running functions, but I already make it before here. Here's the save model. This is the model we use to detect the object here. To detect the object inside of this image. So after we have this save model result, we can move to the next step, which is the object detections. So basically, if you want to do binary classifications, the whole step is also the same. You just need to change the training data usage and also the configuration file on the model training. All right. So for the 2 steps, it's the same for the whole classifications and object detections. And the next step is object detection here. So we will use my existing model, because if we run again, it will take times. So here, the data sets we choose is palm trees. I will close the data set first. Okay, object detections, and the data sets is palm tree, farm sample ortho, and the model file is the .stm here. Okay, I think this is not the model that I will use here. Is the model here, object detection, and also save models, save model. Okay, is it the true? Okay, yeah. And this is the threshold. Actually, the default threshold is 0.5, But as you may, as Ms. Dennis also said, that we can do the trial error for this threshold number. So we can make a default first for the first time use. And also NMS threshold, you can set it. Okay, for this, we will run it, and it's around 343. Let us see how long it is to process these data sets. I think it will take around 510 minutes for this processing, because this image is also not too big. It's still not running yet, still configuring. There will be a percentage after the detection is ready. Can wait for that. Oh, I think it will take more than 10 minutes, because you can see the 0%, because we cut the image into the small pieces, into the 256 pixel, and it means that it will detect like this. For example, here there is a 250 pixel from the right to left, and then go to bottom, and then go to right, and go to left, and then again like this. It will detect one by one. Also consists of this black color. So I think it will take time. It's still 0%. All right, I think I'm gonna change the data set I want to detect. I have the smaller one. We'll cancel this one first. Here I have the smaller one. Let me open it. This one. I already cut it. Okay. Then object detections. Choose the model file, the same. Okay, and then run it. Okay, let's see for this data set. Still configuring. I would just want to see how fast for this image, because it seems this image is not too big. Yeah, it's running. Can wait until it finishes for 100%. So while waiting, I want to show you the sampling data set for another analysis. For now, we do the object detection. But for the classifications, the label data set is different from the label data set we make for the object detection. For label data set for binary classification or multiple classifications, and also scene classifications, the sampling is like this. So I have prepared also the multiple classifications, the raw data here. So yeah, I have this data, and I want to make the multiple classification for the land use. And how we make a label for this data set, how we make the label is by digitizing based on the shape of this object. So here I already prepared one sampling like this. So basically this data set, I think we already cut it out. So only some part of it we make as a label. Because for the binary classification and multiple classification, it needs more detailed labeling for the image itself. So here if you open the attributes, the class type is different. For binary classification, this class type should be 1, but for the multiple classification, the class type can be more than 1. Yeah, and that's the difference. So the difference is only the label data set for object detections and also for the binary classifications. And also for the multiple classification, it's the same with the binary classification. We need to digitize the object based on the shapes of the object itself. And then the difference is only from this parameter settings. You just need to change it to multiple classification, and this is the class type. Okay, and here is the results. I'm not sure of the results. Let me check. Yeah, I think this result is actually not for the sample data I cut. It needs this data set because the configuration also being set for this one, and also we don't have a good number of samples, and also we don't have the good number of epoch modeling time. So so the result also is not really good. But we can try for this again. So result 2, result all. Okay, we can run this. Detections while I'm explaining the another one, binary classification and multiple classifications. And also ask the committee that we still have around 10 minutes for this training. Okay, so we can go to the binary classifications and also multiple classifications. So here also we have prepared the data. As I mentioned that I have prepared an image data here. Image data and also the vector data. And this vector data consists of the category labels, category of the class type of this land use. Like this, more than one. I think it's a farmland building. It's been built water and another type of class. And after that, we can measure first how big is the data itself. Here there is on the maps there is the map measures and area. Okay, it's around 49 kilometers square. Okay. Right. So here, how we do the binary classifications while waiting for this. Yeah, I think it will take more time. I'll send you the result too after it's finished to your email. Also Miss Nicole will, I think she will also send you the record of this training. So here we do the training data, and for the multiple classifications, you can choose the image. So as I mentioned that it is context sensitive of the image data sources, so it will only detect the image data sources which consist of image. So here we choose image, and this one we choose the multi-clustering data and the label data set inspector. And this one is, you can make sure the picture size of your labels, for example this one. And then this is the most critical part, that you need to change the parameters itself into multiple classifications, and the class field is class type. And for the output path is the same how we configure it. You can choose random folder, and you push here training data for multi-class, and then you can click run. But also I've already prepared it here. Prepare the result. Sorry, this one. This is the training data images. So we already cut it into a smaller piece of image here, and also for the masking here. For the masking, it means that the land use has different colors, right? Different colors for each features for each class type. So it also will it will also cut the labels, the masking of the land use itself that we draw for the sampling. And after that, here I also already prepared the models. So how we do this model folder result? We click model training, and then we choose the training data path as the training data result for the previous steps. So this one, train data, and then click open. And for the training model usage, we choose multiple classifications. And for the configuration file, it is on this training config. So after you download resources _ml, there will be a trainer config folder. So in this folder, you will find the configuration file. I think it's also separated from the SuperMap iDesktopX installer. So as Ms. Candace also mentioned, that you need to download three kind of item. The first one is iDesktopX installation folder, installation package, and also resources ML folder, and trainer config folder. Choose this multiple classifications. And for the log path, we can choose random folder, and output model path also random folder, and you put the model name folder. This is the save model, and this is the result after you click the running process. Okay, this is the result. There is a save model, and after that, this SDM file need to be inputted for the next step, which is the model inference for the binary class, for the multiple classifications. So here, choose the model file on the resulted folder. Here, the model file .sdm file, and then the overlapping tiles. You can here make sure for the overlapping tiles the number, and then also resulted data. You can this will be, so the difference also the difference from the object detections and classifications. For object detection, the resulted data will be a vector data sets, just like I make it before, like a vector labels, which consists the coordinates of each label box. But for the multiple classification, the resulted is raster data sets. The raster data sets, which consists of the value 0 and 1 for the binary classifications, or for the multiple classification, it's more than 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. And for example, actually I haven't prepared the result for this data set, but there is another result for another data set that I want to show you. So here there is a building inference here, and the result is this one. This is the result vector grid. So if you open the thematic maps here, if you make the unique values map, there will be a unique value 1 for the buildings. So this is the binary classification. There will be unique value of 1. So this is a raster data set. So if you want to do further analysis for your result, you need to convert it to vectors, like vector data set like this. So after that, it can be queried one feature by one feature. But for the raster data set, you can query it. I mean, you can click the for each features, because this is a raster data set. So the result of classification is raster data set, while the object detection result is the vector data set. Yeah, I guess that's all of the live demonstrations I want to share to all of the participants. And let's take a look at the result here. It's still 6% because we cut it as 256 pixel for each picture. So it will take time. So I think I will share you the result together with the recorded of this training from, I think Miss Nicole will share it to you guys later. Okay, thank you for the participations. If